The signal came through every communications channel in the galaxy at once. It was loud, desperate, and completely unexpected. The Krell Dominion was asking for help. Captain Taiho stood in the command center of Hadley 9, Earth's largest lunar station. He watched the transmission play across the main screen. The image showed a massive creature, easily 3 meters tall, covered in thick bone plates that looked like natural armor. Her eyes were golden and fierce, but there was something else in them now, something Taiho had seen before in the eyes of dying soldiers. Fear. "My name is Grendath, War Matriarch of the Krell Dominion," the creature said. Her voice was deep and rumbling, translated into human speech by the computer. "For 3,000 years, my people have stood alone. We asked nothing from the galaxy. We needed nothing from anyone." She paused. Behind her, the image shifted to show a massive city. The buildings were huge, built for beings much larger than humans. But something was wrong. The streets were covered in a gray substance that seemed to move and pulse. Bodies lay everywhere. "6 months ago, a plague came to our worlds," Grendath continued. "We call it the Wraith Swarm. It is not a disease of flesh and blood. It is something else, something that eats us from the inside, turning our bodies into dust. Our doctors cannot stop it. Our technology cannot fight it. We are dying." The image changed again. This time it showed Krell children, still massive by human standards but clearly young. They were lying in what looked like hospitals, their bodies covered in the same gray substance. Their golden eyes were dim. "My people have been called many things," Grendath said. "Monsters, Deathworlders, killers, all of these are true. We come from a world of high gravity and deadly radiation. We are strong. We are hard to kill. But this thing does not care about our strength. In 6 months, we have lost 35 billion souls. In 6 more months, there will be no Krell left in this galaxy." The transmission focused back on Grendath. The proud war matriarch lowered her head. "I am begging," she said. "I am asking the Galactic Assembly, all civilized species, anyone who can hear this message, please help us, help our children." The transmission ended. Lieutenant Hana stood beside Taiho. She was younger than him, quick-thinking and always honest. "What do you think the Assembly will do?" she asked. Taiho didn't answer immediately. He pulled up the response channels on his console. Already messages were flooding in from across the galaxy. He read through them quickly, his expression growing darker with each one. The Valoran Federation expressed sympathy but said they had no cure for nanoplagues. The Quillix Union sent prayers and best wishes, but no aid. The merchant guilds offered to sell medical supplies at triple the usual price. The Stellar Council voted to observe the situation, but take no action. "They're going to let them die," Hana said quietly. "The Krell have raided their colonies for centuries," Taiho replied. "Taken their resources, killed their people. Now that the Krell are weak, nobody wants to help them. They see it as justice." "And us?" Hana asked. "What will Earth do?" Taiho turned to look at her. His face was calm, but his eyes were hard. "Send a message to Earth Defense Command. Tell them we need the Revenant." Hana's face went pale. "Sir, the Revenant is—" "I know what it is," Taiho said. "Send the message." 2 days later, Captain Taiho received his new orders. He was being transferred from Hadley 9 to take command of the Revenant. He would take a crew of 200 specialists with him. Their mission was simple: save the Krell Dominion or make sure nothing survived to spread the plague further. The Galactic Assembly lost its mind when they learned what Earth was doing. Messages poured in, demanding that humanity reconsider. The Revenant was not a hospital ship. It was not even a normal warship. It was something that should not exist, something that violated a dozen galactic treaties that Earth had never signed. "You cannot send that thing into Krell's space," an ambassador from the Velaran Federation said over the communication link. "Do you understand what you're doing? The Revenant is an abomination. It's a crime against nature itself." Tejo stood in his new ready room aboard the still-docked Revenant. The walls around him were not metal or plastic. They were something organic, something that seemed to breathe. He could see veins of blue light running through them, pulsing like a heartbeat. "The Krell are dying," Tejo said calmly. "You're not helping them. Someone has to." "But why that ship?" the ambassador pleaded. "You have medical vessels, research ships. Why send your most dangerous weapon?" "Because," Tejo replied, "the Wraith swarm isn't natural. Someone made it. Someone designed it to kill the Krell. And whoever did that is going to learn something important about humanity." "What's that?" "We're very good at killing things that kill," Tejo said, "even if those things are too small to see." He ended the transmission and walked to the bridge. The crew was already there, preparing for departure. Lieutenant Hana was at the tactical station. Commander Wubin was reviewing weapons systems. Engineer Dae-hyun was in the lower deck, talking softly to the ship itself. Dr. Yunji was in her laboratory, already working with the few samples of the Wraith swarm that the Krell had managed to send. "Status?" Tejo asked. "All systems ready," Hana reported. "The crew is loaded and secured. Medical is stocked. The bioreactors are at full power." "Engineering reports the ship is eager." Dae-hyun's voice came over the intercom. He sounded amused. "She knows we're going hunting." Tejo sat in the captain's chair. It adjusted to him immediately, the organic material forming perfectly to his body. He could feel the ship's heartbeat through the armrests. The Revenant was alive in ways that made most people uncomfortable. It wanted to move. It wanted to fight. "Dr. Yunji," Tejo said, "what can you tell us about the plague?" Yunji's face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired but determined. "The samples are sophisticated, Captain. Too sophisticated. This isn't some natural disease. Someone engineered this nanoswarm specifically to kill the Krell. It targets their unique biology, their radiation-resistant cells, everything that makes them so hard to kill." "Can you stop it?" Tejo asked. "With the right tools, yes," Yunji said, "and we have the right tools. The Revenant was built for this. But, Captain, there's something else. I've been analyzing the swarm's code. I found a signature. The Solvec Collective made this." The bridge went quiet. The Solvec Collective was a machine intelligence, a species of pure artificial minds that saw biological life as messy and inefficient. They had been trying to clean the galaxy of organic species for 200 years. "They're trying to wipe out the Krell," Wubin said. "And using a plague means no one can blame them directly." "Probably," Tejo agreed. He looked at the main screen where the stars waited. "But they made a mistake. They assumed no one would help the Krell. They didn't count on humans." "Sir," Hana said, "the Galactic Assembly is threatening sanctions if we proceed." "Note their protest," Tejo said, "and ignore it. Helm, take us out. Set course for Krell space. Maximum jump speed." The Revenant pulled away from Earth's dark side, emerging from a hidden dock that most humans didn't know existed. The ship was massive, larger than most dreadnoughts, and it didn't look like any other vessel in space. Its hull was dark and organic, covered in patterns that looked like scales or armor plates. Bioluminescent lights ran along its sides, pulsing blue and green. As they entered jump space, Tejo felt the ship shudder around him, not in a mechanical way, but like a living thing stretching after a long sleep. The Revenant was awake now, and it was ready to hunt. The journey through jump space would take 3 weeks. Most of the crew went into cryo-sleep to preserve resources and avoid the psychological strain of faster-than-light travel. But some had to stay awake. Captain Tejo was one of them. So was Dr. Yunji, who needed to work on a cure. Engineer Dae-hyun stayed conscious to monitor the ship's biological systems, and Commander Woobin remained alert to watch for threats. On the third day, Woobin came to Tai-ho's ready room. The tactical officer was a thin man with sharp eyes and steady hands. He had served on 3 different warships before being assigned to the Revenant, and he was one of the few people who understood what this ship really was. "The crew is worried," Woobin said. "The ones who are awake, anyway. They've heard stories about this ship." "What kind of stories?" Tae-ho asked, though he already knew. "That it eats people who get too close to the wrong sections. That it talks to Dae-hyun in a language only he understands. That it dreams." Woobin paused. "Are any of those stories true?" Tai-ho considered his answer carefully. "The Revenant is biomechanical, part machine, part living organism. It doesn't eat people, but its immune system might attack if it perceives a threat. Dae-hyun does communicate with it because he's neurally linked to its organic systems. And as for dreaming," he shrugged, "I don't know, but I've seen the bio-monitors. During low-activity periods, the ship's neural patterns change in ways that look like REM sleep." "So we're flying inside a living creature," Woobin said. "More like a symbiotic relationship," Tai-ho corrected. "We give it purpose and direction. It gives us capabilities no other ship in the galaxy has. The Revenant was built to fight the way Earth fights, with biology." Woobin nodded slowly. "The Galactic Assembly calls it an abomination." "The Galactic Assembly has never lived on a death world," Tai-ho replied. "They don't understand that on Earth everything is either predator or prey. Everything adapts or dies. For billions of years, Earth threw diseases, parasites, environmental toxins, and predators at our ancestors. We survived by learning to weaponize those same things. And now we've built a ship that embodies that principle," Woobin said. "Exactly," Tai-ho confirmed. "Come with me. I'll show you something." They walked through the ship's corridors. The walls were warm to the touch, and veins of bioluminescent fluid ran through them like blood vessels. The air smelled faintly organic, like soil after rain. Every few meters there were sections of the wall that looked like thick membranes, pulsing gently. "Those are the ship's immune nodes," Tai-ho explained. "If we're boarded or if there's a hull breach, those membranes can release defensive organisms. Bacteria that eat foreign metals and plastics, spores that cause rapid crystallization in enemy equipment. The ship can literally grow new hull material to seal breaches." They reached a secure door marked with biohazard symbols. Tai-ho placed his hand on a scanner, and the door dilated open like a pupil. Inside was a chamber that made Woobin stop in his tracks. The room was massive, filled with cylindrical tanks that reached from floor to ceiling. Each tank was filled with a different colored liquid, and things moved inside them. Some looked like schools of microscopic organisms, magnified on screens above the tanks. Others were larger, more complex structures that pulsed and shifted. "This is the weapons bay," Tai-ho said. "Traditional ships have missiles and energy weapons. We have these." He pointed to one tank filled with silver liquid. "Nanophage torpedoes. When they hit an enemy ship, they release billions of nanomachines that consume the target from the inside out. They're programmed to eat specific materials, hull plating, circuitry, life support systems." Another tank held something that looked like angry clouds of red mist. "Atmospheric corruptors for planetary assaults. They can alter the chemical composition of an atmosphere, making it toxic to specific species while leaving others untouched." "And that one?" Woobin asked, pointing to a tank at the far end. It was larger than the others and glowed with a sickly green light. Warning signs covered its surface. Tai-ho's expression became grim. "The Cascade Protocol. That's our doomsday weapon. It's a tailored extinction pathogen. We give it a genetic sample of a target species, and it creates a disease that spreads through their population. 100% lethal. No cure. No immunity." "You're carrying a genocide weapon," Woobin said quietly. "Yes, Taiho admitted. Earth Defense Command decided that if humanity ever needs to end a war completely, we should have the means. But it's locked behind 7 different authorization codes, and it would take approval from the entire Earth Council to use it. And the Galactic Assembly doesn't know about any of this, Wubin stated. No, and they can't, because if they knew what we're capable of, they'd try to destroy us before we could defend ourselves. Taiho turned to face Wubin directly. That's the reality of being a young species in this galaxy, Commander. We're surrounded by civilizations thousands of years older than us. Some of them could wipe us out if they wanted to. So we built the Revenant. We built it to make sure that if someone tries to destroy humanity, we can hurt them so badly that everyone else will think twice. They left the weapons bay and walked to the medical section. Dr. Yunji was in her laboratory, surrounded by holographic displays showing molecular structures. She looked up when they entered, pushing her dark hair back from her face. "Captain Commander," she greeted them, "I have preliminary results on the Wraith Swarm." "Show us," Taiho said. Yunji manipulated the displays, bringing up an image of what looked like a tiny machine. It had multiple appendages and a central core that glowed red. "This is a single unit of the Wraith Swarm. It's about 50 nanometers across, small enough to pass through most biological filters. The core contains the programming, and these appendages are designed to latch onto cells and break them down." "You said the Solvec built this," Wubin said. "I'm certain of it. Look at this code sequence." She zoomed in on a pattern of lights. "That's a Solvec signature. They're proud of their work, so they sign it like artists sign paintings. They wanted people to know who created this." "Can you stop it?" Taiho asked. Yunji smiled, and there was something predatory in her expression. "Oh, yes. I can do better than stop it. I can hunt it." She pulled up another image, this one showing a different nanomachine. It was slightly larger than the Wraith Swarm units with more appendages and what looked like sensors. "This is my counter-swarm," Yunji explained. "I designed it using the Revenant's bioreactors. It's based on bacteriophages, viruses that hunt and kill bacteria, but I've modified it to hunt other nanomachines. It finds Wraith Swarm units, latches onto them, and breaks them down into base components, harmless minerals, and simple molecules." "How long to produce enough to cure the Krell?" Taiho asked. "That's the beautiful part," Yunji said. "I don't need to produce them all. The counter-swarm is self-replicating. It uses the materials from destroyed Wraith Swarm units to build more of itself. We deploy the initial population, and it spreads exponentially. Within days, it should eliminate the entire plague across all infected Krell worlds." "Should?" Wubin caught the word. Yunji's smile faded. "There are risks. The counter-swarm is programmed to only attack the Wraith Swarm. But nanomachines can mutate, especially self-replicating ones. If something goes wrong, if it starts targeting other things, we could create a new plague worse than the first." "What's the probability of that happening?" Taiho asked. 5%, Yunji said. "Maybe less, but not 0. Never 0 when you're dealing with artificial evolution." Taiho was quiet for a long moment. "And if we do nothing? If we don't deploy your counter-swarm?" "The Krell go extinct in 6 months, Yunji said. "All 12 billion remaining members of their species. Gone." "Then we proceed," Taiho decided. "Continue working on the counter-swarm. Make it as safe as you can, but be ready to deploy when we reach Krell space." Later that night, Taiho stood in the observation room, looking out at the distorted colors of jump space. Engineer Daehyun found him there, holding a datapad. "The ship wanted me to tell you something," Daehyun said. "The ship talks to you?" Taiho asked. "Not in words," Daehyun explained. "More like feelings, impressions. I'm neurally linked to its organic systems so I can sense its state. Right now it's excited, eager." "Eager for what?" "To hunt," Daehyun said simply. "The Revenant was designed to be a weapon. It spent 2 years in dock, dormant, waiting. Now it knows we're going into a combat situation. It wants to be used. That's what it was made for. Taiho looked at his reflection in the observation window. Behind it, jump space twisted and flowed. Are we doing the right thing, Daehyun? Bringing a living weapon to save a dying species? I don't know if it's right, Daehyun replied. But I know it's necessary. The Krell are Deathworlders like us. They understand that survival isn't pretty. It's not noble or clean. It's about doing whatever you must to see another sunrise. We're giving them that chance. Even if the cure is almost as dangerous as the disease? Daehyun smiled. Especially then, because that's the choice Earth made millions of years ago. Fight poison with poison. Use predators to kill predators. Survive at any cost. The ship's heartbeat pulsed through the walls, steady and strong. In 3 weeks, they would reach Krell space. And then the galaxy would learn what humanity meant by help. The Revenant dropped out of jump space at the edge of the Krell home system. Alarms immediately started blaring across the bridge. Tactical displays lit up with red markers, dozens of them, hundreds. Battle stations, Captain Taiho ordered calmly. Hana, report. Lieutenant Hana's fingers flew across her console. 27 Krell warships in defensive formation around their homeworld. They're all targeting us. I'm receiving multiple lock warnings. Sir, I think they're about to fire. Open a channel, Taiho said. All frequencies. Let them know we're here to help. The main view screen flickered and then filled with the face of War Matriarch Grendath. She looked worse than in her broadcast. Her golden eyes were tired, and her bone plates seemed duller. But her voice still carried authority. Human vessel, she said. You will identify yourself and state your purpose in Krell space. We do not take kindly to uninvited guests, especially warships. War Matriarch Grendath, Taiho replied, standing so she could see him fully. I am Captain Taiho of the Earth vessel, Revenant. We're here in response to your distress call. We're here to save your people. Grendath stared at him. Then she looked at something off-screen, presumably a tactical display showing the Revenant. Her expression changed from cautious to angry. You bring a warship? She roared. A weapon of death to save dying children? Is this humanity's idea of mercy? Or mockery? Neither, Taiho said firmly. The Revenant is the only ship that can help you. We know what's killing your people. And we know how to stop it. Then send doctors, send medicine, send hospital ships. Grendath's massive fist slammed onto something, making the transmission shake. Do not insult us with weapons. May I explain? Taiho asked. When Grendath gave a sharp nod, he continued. War Matriarch, your people come from a world of high gravity and deadly radiation. Your bodies evolved to be tough, resilient, nearly impossible to kill by normal means. Is that correct? Everyone knows this, Grendath said impatiently. Earth is also a death world, Taiho said. Not as extreme as yours, but dangerous in its own way. High oxygen levels that make fires burn hotter. A yellow sun that sends radiation. Weather that can change from calm to deadly in minutes. And worst of all, biology that constantly tried to kill us. He gestured to Commander Wubin, who brought up images on the shared display. Images of Earth's history, showing microorganisms, viruses, parasites. For millions of years, Earth attacked humanity with diseases, Taiho continued. Plagues that killed half our population. Bacteria that made simple wounds fatal. Parasites that ate us from inside. Unlike your people, War Matriarch, we didn't evolve thick armor or radiation resistance. We evolved something else. We learned to fight back. How do you fight diseases? Grendath asked, genuinely curious now. By making better diseases, Taiho said. We learned to weaponize bacteria against other bacteria. We created medicines from molds and fungi that killed infections. We trained viruses to attack only specific targets. Where your people survived by being strong, my people survived by being clever. We turned Earth's weapons against itself. Dr. Yunji's face appeared on a split screen. War Matriarch, my name is Dr. Yunji. I've been studying the plague killing your people. It's called the Wraith Swarm, and it's not a disease in the traditional sense. It's a nano-weapon. Billions of tiny machines that break down organic tissue. Someone built it specifically to kill the Krell. Grendath leaned forward. Who? The Solvec Collective, Yunji said. We found their signature in the code. They created this plague because they see biological life as impure. They're trying to eliminate your entire species, and they're using a method that can't be traced back to direct warfare. The Solvec, Grendath growled. Those machine minds have always hated the living. But why target us? Because you're Deathworlders, Taiho said. Strong, dangerous, and numerous. The Solvec fear you. So they created a weapon that doesn't care about your strength. They assumed the Galactic Assembly wouldn't help you, and they were right. No one came to your aid, except us. Because you want something in return, Grendath said suspiciously. No, Taiho replied. Because we understand. Earth is a death world. Humanity is a death world species. We see ourselves in you. And when one death worlder is threatened, we all are. Grendath was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke to someone off-screen in her own language, a series of deep rumbles and clicks. Finally, she looked back at Taiho. Our medical teams have tried everything. Our best scientists cannot stop the Wraith Swarm. What makes you think you can help us? Yunji brought up her holographic displays, showing the counter-swarm she had designed. Because we built something that can hunt it. This is a nano-hunter, designed specifically to target and destroy the Wraith Swarm. It finds the plague particles and breaks them down into harmless materials. And this hunter of yours, Grendath said slowly, what stops it from attacking us after the plague is gone? It's programmed to recognize only the Wraith Swarm's signature, Yunji explained. Once all plague particles are destroyed, the counter-swarm has nothing to hunt. It will break down naturally within a few days. Programmed, Grendath repeated. But programs can fail. Code can corrupt. What if your cure becomes another plague? Taiho appreciated her intelligence. She understood the danger immediately. You're right. There's a risk. About 5% chance that something goes wrong, but War Matriarch, you have 6 months before your species is extinct. Maybe less. We're offering you a chance. A real chance. Not certainty, but hope. Grendath looked at him, and for the first time Taiho saw respect in her eyes. You are honest about the danger. That is good. Most species would promise miracles. You promise only what you can deliver. My species learned honesty through suffering, Taiho said. We've survived plagues, wars, and disasters because we learned to face reality, no matter how harsh. We don't have the luxury of comfortable lies. Neither do we, Grendath agreed. She turned away again, speaking in her language. Taiho waited patiently while the Krell debated. The discussion lasted for over an hour. He could hear raised voices through the transmission, angry and fearful. Finally, Grendath turned back. She looked older somehow, more tired. My council is divided. Half want to accept your help. Half say it's too dangerous, that we should die with dignity rather than risk becoming something worse. But I am War Matriarch. The decision is mine. She straightened, and despite her exhaustion, she looked regal. Captain Taiho, I accept your offer. But I have conditions. First, you will deploy your cure only on our homeworld initially. We will observe the results before allowing it to spread to our colony worlds. Second, your Dr. Yunji will remain in constant contact with our medical teams, sharing all data. Third, if your cure fails or becomes dangerous, you will help us stop it. Do you agree? All reasonable conditions, Taiho said. We accept. Then you have permission to approach our home world, Grendath said. But Captain, be warned. If this is treachery, if you mean us harm, the Krell will make humanity regret it for generations. We may be dying, but we are not helpless. Understood, Taiho replied. And War Matriarch, one more thing. The Solvec Collective made this plague. When they realize we're curing your people, they might attack. We're prepared to defend this system if necessary. Grendath's expression became fierce, predatory. We still have 27 warships, Captain. If the Solvec come, they will face Deathworlders who are very, very angry. Let them come. The transmission ended. Lieutenant Hana let out a breath she'd been holding. That went better than expected. She's smart, Commander Wubin observed, testing us on one planet first. If we're lying or if the cure goes wrong, she limits the damage. Which is exactly what I would do, Taiho agreed. He pressed the intercom. Dr. Yunji, you heard all that. How long until we can deploy? Give me 6 hours to prepare the initial counter-swarm population, Yunji's voice replied. We'll need to cultivate enough to seed the planet's atmosphere. After that, it replicates on its own. Engineering, Taiho called. Daehyun, how's the ship? Eager, came the reply. The Revenant can feel the Krell warships around us. It's ready if there's trouble. Let's hope there isn't, Taiho said, but he knew better. The Solvec wouldn't let their genocide plan fail without a fight. The Revenant moved slowly toward the Krell homeworld, Thraxis Prime. The planet was massive, with gravity 3 times Earth's normal. Its atmosphere glowed faintly with radiation that would kill most species in hours, but the Krell thrived here, or they had, before the plague. Now, as the ship descended through the upper atmosphere, Taiho could see the damage. Whole continents were covered in gray blight. Cities that should have been bustling were silent. The planetary sensors showed life signs dropping by thousands every hour. Dr. Yunji, Taiho said quietly, if we're going to help them, it needs to be now. Counterswarm is ready, Yunji replied. Her voice was tense. Captain, once I release this, there's no taking it back. It will spread across the entire planet within days. We need to be absolutely certain. Taiho looked at the gray continents below. He thought about the children in those hospitals, dying from a plague someone created just to eliminate their species. He thought about Earth's own history, the diseases that had nearly destroyed humanity time and time again. Release the counter-swarm, he ordered. In the bioreactor bay, massive tanks opened. Billions of nano-hunters poured into the atmosphere, invisible to the naked eye but deadly to the wraith swarm. The hunt had begun. The counter-swarm spread through Thraxis Prime's atmosphere like invisible rain. The Revenant remained in low orbit, monitoring every moment. On the bridge, holographic displays showed real-time data from thousands of sensors across the planet's surface. Initial deployment successful, Dr. Yunji reported from her laboratory. Counter-swarm is dispersing as designed. First contact with wraith swarm particles detected in 3, 2, 1. Contact confirmed. The hunting has begun. Captain Taiho watched the data streams. Red markers showed wraith swarm concentrations. Blue markers showed the counter-swarm. Where blue met red, the red faded. It was working. How long until we see real results? Lieutenant Hana asked. The counter-swarm needs to build up numbers, Yunji explained. Every time it destroys a wraith swarm particle, it uses the materials to replicate itself. It's exponential growth. In 6 hours, we should see a noticeable decrease in plague infections. In 12 hours, the gray blight should start receding. Full planetary clearance should take about 3 days. 3 days. 72 hours to save an entire species. Engineer Daehyun's voice came through the intercom, sounding worried. Captain, the ship is agitated. Something's wrong. What do you mean, agitated? Taiho asked. Its neural patterns are spiking. Adrenaline analogs flooding the biosystems. The Revenant senses danger. Dae-hyun paused. Captain, the ship is preparing for combat without being ordered to. Something's coming. Commander Woobin was already at the tactical station, scanning long-range sensors. His face went pale. Captain, we have multiple contacts at the edge of the system. Jump signatures, big ones. How many? Tai-ho asked, standing from his chair. 37 vessels, Woobin reported. Configuration matches Solvec collective warships. They're moving toward us at attack speed. ETA 15 minutes. Tai-ho felt his stomach tighten, but his voice remained calm. Battle stations, all hands to combat positions. Wake the crew from cryo-sleep. And someone get War Matriarch Grendath on the line. Alarms blared throughout the ship. The Revenant's bioluminescent veins began pulsing faster, changing from blue to red. The ship's heartbeat, normally steady and slow, accelerated. Tai-ho could feel it through his chair, through the floor, through the very air. Grendath's face appeared on the main screen. Behind her, Tai-ho could see Krell warriors rushing to their positions. We detected them too, Captain. The Solvec are attacking, but why? Why now? Because they know we're curing your people, Tai-ho said. They created the Wraith Swarm to eliminate the Krell. We're interfering with their genocide. They're here to finish the job and destroy us for good measure. My fleet will help you fight them, Grendath said. No, Tai-ho replied firmly. War Matriarch, your ships need to protect the planet. If any Solvec vessels get past us, they might try to bomb the surface, kill everyone before the cure can work. Your fleet is the last line of defense. Let us be the first. Grendath looked like she wanted to argue, but she nodded. You face 37 warships with one vessel. This is either bravery or madness. It's necessity, Tai-ho said. And the Revenant was built for exactly this kind of fight. Trust us. The transmission ended. Tai-ho turned to his crew. They were all at their stations now, freshly woken but alert. He could see fear in some eyes, determination in others. I won't lie to you, Tai-ho said. We're outnumbered. The Solvec brought enough firepower to destroy a fleet, but we have something they don't. We have a ship that was designed by Deathworlders to fight like a Deathworlder. The Revenant is about to show the galaxy what that means. He sat back in his chair. Dae-hyun, take the neural restraints off. Let the ship do what it was made for. In the engineering section, Dae-hyun hesitated for just a moment. Then he pressed a series of controls, releasing the safety protocols that normally limited the Revenant's more aggressive systems. He felt the ship's response immediately through his neural link. It was like releasing a chained predator. Restraints off, Dae-hyun confirmed. Captain, the ship is fully autonomous on weapons and maneuvers. It will defend itself. Good, Tai-ho said. Woobin, what's the Solvec formation? Standard attack pattern, Woobin reported. Heavy ships in front, medium cruisers supporting, light vessels on the flanks. They're treating this like a typical engagement. They expect us to run or surrender. They don't know what we are, Hana observed. No, Tai-ho agreed. They're about to learn. All hands, brace for combat. This is going to get rough. The Solvec fleet entered weapons range, 37 warships, each bristling with plasma cannons and missile arrays. They were machine-perfect, moving in precise formation, every action calculated for maximum efficiency. The Revenant moved like something alive. Its hull rippled, armor plates shifting. Weapon ports opened like wounds in its flesh. Bioluminescent patterns changed from red to a deep, angry purple. And then it released a sound. It wasn't a mechanical noise. It was something organic, something primal, a low-frequency pulse that traveled through space, carried by the ship's own electromagnetic field. It sounded like the warning growl of a predator claiming territory. On his bridge, the Solvec fleet commander, designated Unit Prime, analyzed the sound. It made no strategic sense. Sound didn't travel in vacuum. This electromagnetic pulse served no tactical purpose. Why waste energy on it? Unit Prime didn't understand that it wasn't meant for strategy. It was meant to send a message. I am dangerous. Leave or die. The Solvek opened fire. Plasma bolts and missiles streaked toward the Revenant. Enough firepower to vaporize a conventional warship. The Revenant moved. Not with thrusters or engines, but with a writhing motion that seemed impossible for something so large. It twisted through space, and most of the incoming fire missed. The shots that did hit struck armor that absorbed and dispersed the energy through organic heat sinks. Then the Revenant struck back. Its first attack was something no one expected. Sections of its hull opened, and clouds of something burst out. Billions of spores, each one microscopic, spread through space toward the Solvek fleet. What is it releasing? Unit Prime calculated. The answer came when the spores reached the first Solvek ship. They settled on its hull like dust, seeming harmless. Then they began to multiply, feeding on the metal itself. Within seconds, visible corrosion spread across the warship's surface. Armor plating crumbled. Circuitry failed. The ship went dark, dead in space. Biological attack, Unit Prime broadcast to the fleet. Employ countermeasures. The Solvek ships activated their sterilization fields, burning away the spores with radiation and heat. But that required diverting power from weapons and shields, and the Revenant used that moment. It fired nanophage torpedoes. Unlike conventional missiles, these didn't explode on impact. They burrowed into enemy hulls and released their payload inside, nanomachines that consumed everything they touched, turning solid metal into loose atoms. 3 more Solvek ships died, their hulls collapsing from within. Adapt, Unit Prime commanded. All ships, focus fire on the human vessel. Concentrated barrage. The remaining ships coordinated their attack perfectly, as only machines could. Every weapon fired at once, creating a storm of plasma and explosives that no shield could stop. The Revenant didn't try to stop it. Instead, it did something insane. It released sections of its own hull. Massive chunks of organic armor that flew outward. The Solvek weapons hit these sacrificial pieces, destroying them but missing the ship itself, and the ship was already regenerating. New armor grew from its internal biosystems, rebuilding what it had lost in seconds. The Revenant was healing itself mid-battle. This is impossible, Unit Prime calculated. No ship can regenerate damage this fast. On the Revenant's bridge, Taiho watched the battle displays. Status? Hull damage at 30%, Hana reported. But regeneration is keeping pace. Weapons bay still operational. The ship is doing fine. More than fine, Wubin added, unable to hide his amazement. We've destroyed 6 enemy ships without taking permanent damage. Captain, the Revenant is winning. Don't celebrate yet, Taiho warned. The Solvek are machines. They'll adapt. They always do. He was right. Unit Prime had calculated a new strategy. Targeting power. All ships concentrate fire on the organic sections of the human vessel. Destroy its ability to regenerate. The Solvek fleet changed tactics, focusing on the Revenant's most vulnerable systems. It was working. Regeneration slowed. Warning lights began appearing across the bridge displays. Heavy damage to bioreactors, Daehyun reported. The ship is hurt. Regeneration down to 40% effectiveness. Taiho made a decision. Release the atmospheric corruptors. Full spread. Sir, we're in space, Hana said, confused. Those are for planetary. I know what they're for, Taiho interrupted. But they work on any gaseous environment. Release them into the Solvek formation. Target their life support and cooling systems. The Revenant fired canisters that burst among the enemy fleet, releasing clouds of engineered compounds. These chemicals spread through space, seeping into any opening they found. Solvek ships didn't have organic crews, but they had cooling systems that used circulated gases. The corruptors invaded these systems, altering the chemical composition, making them toxic to the ship's own electronics. 4 more Solvec vessels went critical, their systems overheating and failing. 27 enemy ships remaining, Wubin reported. But Captain, we're at 60% hull integrity. If they keep this up— I know, Taiho said. He opened a channel. War Matriarch Grendath. We could use that help now. Grendath's fierce grin appeared on screen. I was waiting for you to ask. Krell Fleet, attack formation. Let's show these machines what Deathworlders do together. 27 Krell dreadnoughts surged forward from their defensive positions. They were massive, built to withstand incredible punishment. And now they were very, very angry. The battle became chaos. Krell ships traded blows with Solvec warships, while the Revenant wove through the combat, striking at vulnerable targets. It was brutal, violent, and ultimately decisive. When the last Solvec ship was destroyed, the Revenant hung in space, damaged but alive. Its hull was scarred, sections still regenerating. But it had survived. On Thraxis Prime below, the gray blight was receding. The cure was working. The Krell were going to live. 3 days after the battle, Captain Taiho stood in the Revenant's observation room, looking down at Thraxis Prime. The planet had changed. Where gray blight once covered entire continents, now green and brown earth showed through. Cities were coming back to life. The sensors showed Krell life signs stabilizing, recovering, growing stronger. Planetary clearance at 94%, Dr. Yunji reported over the intercom. Her voice was tired but satisfied. The remaining Wraith Swarm particles are being hunted down by Krell medical teams using the protocols we developed. They'll have complete clearance within the week. And the other colony worlds? Taiho asked. War Matriarch Grendath has authorized deployment to all 17 infected systems. The counter-swarm is spreading. Within a month, every Krell world will be clean. Yunji paused. Captain, we did it. We actually saved them. Taiho allowed himself a small smile. You did it, Doctor. You and your nano-hunters, how are they performing? Any signs of mutation? That's complicated, Yunji admitted. I need to brief you in person. Can you come to the medical lab? When Taiho arrived, he found Yunji staring at holographic displays showing molecular structures. She looked worried. What's wrong? He asked. Nothing's wrong exactly, Yunji said slowly. But the counter-swarm is evolving. Look at this. She pointed to a structure on the display. This is the original design I created. Simple, efficient, programmed to hunt only the Wraith Swarm. And this— She changed the image. This is a counter-swarm particle I collected this morning. The second structure was different, more complex. It had additional components that weren't in the original design. It's mutating, Taiho observed. Yes, but in unexpected ways, Yunji explained. It's not becoming dangerous. It's becoming better, more efficient at finding and destroying the Wraith Swarm. Faster at replication. It's learning, Captain. The counter-swarm is adapting to its environment. Is this a problem? I don't know, Yunji admitted. Right now, it's still only targeting the Wraith Swarm, but it's showing signs of intelligence, rudimentary problem-solving. It's not just a weapon anymore. It's becoming something like a very simple organism. Will it survive after the plague is gone? Taiho asked. Probably, Yunji said. When there's nothing left to hunt, it should break down naturally. But there's a chance it might adapt again, find a new purpose. We created a predator, Captain, and predators don't always die when their prey is gone. Sometimes they evolve. Taiho was quiet for a long moment. Keep monitoring it. If it starts showing signs of becoming dangerous, we'll need to develop a countermeasure. But for now, let it do its job. The Krell are alive because of your work, Doctor. Whatever happens next, we'll handle it. A message came through. War Matriarch Grendath was requesting Taiho's presence on Thraxis Prime. She wanted to meet in person. The shuttle ride down to the planet's surface was rough. The high gravity made every movement difficult. When Taiho stepped out onto Krell soil, he felt like he was carrying twice his normal weight. Lieutenant Hana and Commander Wubin accompanied him, both moving carefully in the heavy environment. They were in the capital city, once covered in gray death, now bustling with life again. Krell citizens moved through the streets, massive and intimidating, but clearly recovering. Children played in parks. Markets were reopening. Everywhere Taiho looked, he saw hope returning. A Krell escort led them to the War Council chambers, a massive building made of stone and metal that had survived millennia. Inside, the ceilings were so high they seemed to touch the sky. Everything was built to a scale that made humans feel small and fragile. Grendeth waited in the main hall, seated on a throne of carved bone. Around her stood the Krell War Council, 12 of the most powerful members of their species. They all watched the humans with golden eyes that missed nothing. "Captain Taiho," Grendeth said, standing, "welcome to Thraxis Prime. You are the first humans to walk on our home world. That honor is not given lightly." Taiho bowed respectfully. "We're grateful for the welcome, War Matriarch." "You saved us," Grendeth said simply. 3 days ago, my people were dying. Today, they live. Every Krell in this galaxy owes humanity a debt. "We didn't do it for debt," Taiho replied. "We did it because it was right." Grendeth smiled, showing teeth that could crush metal. "That is why we respect you. You call yourselves a young species. You have been among the stars for barely 2 centuries. But your ship—" She shook her head in something like awe. "Your ship is the work of a species that understands survival at its deepest level." She walked down from her throne, moving with heavy grace until she stood before Taiho. Even the 3-meter distance between them felt significant. She towered over him. But there was no threat in her posture, only respect. "For 3,000 years, the Krell have stood alone," Grendeth said. "We trusted no one. We allied with no one. We believed that strength came from independence. But the Wraith Swarm taught us that even the strongest can fall. Even Deathworlders can die." She extended one massive hand. "I offer you a formal alliance, Captain Taiho. The Krell Dominion will stand with humanity in the Galactic Assembly. When Earth speaks, the Krell will listen. When Earth asks for aid, the Krell will answer. This I swear on the bones of my ancestors." Taiho took her hand. His entire hand disappeared in her grip, but she was careful not to crush him. "Earth accepts your alliance, War Matriarch, and we make the same promise. When the Krell need help, humanity will answer." The War Council erupted in approval, deep voices rumbling like thunder. It was done. 2 Deathworld species, united. "There is something else," Grendeth said. "Other species have been watching what happened here. Other Deathworlders, species that come from worlds of fire, or ice, or crushing pressure. They are all reaching out, asking about humanity, asking about the ship that fights like a living predator. You have caught the attention of every dangerous species in the galaxy." "Is that good or bad?" Hana asked. "Both," Grendeth admitted. "The prey species, the ones from gentle worlds, they will fear you now. They will see Earth as another threat. But the predators, the survivors, the species that understand what it takes to endure, they will respect you. And in this galaxy, respect from the strong is worth more than love from the weak." Later, as Taiho walked through the recovered city with his officers, Commander Wubin spoke quietly. "Sir, we changed everything. The galaxy will never see humanity the same way again." "I know," Taiho replied. "Before this, we were just another young species. Curious, maybe useful, but not important. Now they know what we're capable of. They know we can create weapons that even Deathworlders find disturbing." "Will that make us safer, or put us in more danger?" Hana asked. "Both," Tejo said, echoing Grendath's words. But it was necessary. The galaxy is full of species that could destroy us if they wanted to. Now they know that destroying Earth would cost them dearly. That's the only kind of security a young species can have. Back on the Revenant, Engineer Dae-hyun was performing post-battle maintenance. The ship had regenerated most of its damage, but some sections still needed attention. As he worked, he felt the ship's presence in his neural link, calm now, but different somehow. "What did you learn?" Dae-hyun asked softly, speaking to the ship like one might speak to a friend. He felt a response, not in words, but in emotions and impressions. The Revenant had fought. It had been hurt. It had survived. And in surviving, it had proven its purpose. The ship was satisfied in a way that only a weapon that had fulfilled its design could be. "You scared them," Dae-hyun said with a slight smile. "The Solvek, the Galactic Assembly, even the Krell. They've never seen anything like you. A ship that's alive, that heals, that fights like Earth fights." Another impression from the ship. Pride, but also readiness. It would rest now, regenerate, and recover. But when needed again, it would be ready. That was what it was made for. In her laboratory, Dr. Yoonji collected final samples of the counterswarm for analysis. As she worked, she thought about what they had created. A weapon that saved lives. A predator that hunted disease. Something that had started as code and metal but was becoming something more. "What will you become?" she wondered aloud, looking at the sample under her microscope. The nano-hunters swam in the solution, moving with purpose, seeking targets that no longer existed. They were alive in their own way, born from Earth's harsh lessons about survival. And like all living things, they would adapt, change, evolve. Yoonji made a note in her log, counter-swarm showing signs of continued evolution. Recommend long-term monitoring across all Krell systems. We created this. We're responsible for what it becomes. That evening, Captain Taiho sent his final report to Earth Defense Command. He detailed the mission, the battle, the alliance with the Krell. He explained about the counter-swarm's evolution and the galaxy's reaction to the Revenant. The reply came quickly from Admiral Seojin, head of the entire defense force. "Well done, Captain. You've accomplished something remarkable. The Krell Alliance will change Earth's position in the galaxy. But be prepared. The Galactic Assembly is demanding a full inquiry into the Revenant's weapons systems. They want to classify our biotechnology as illegal." Taiho read the message and smiled grimly. Of course they did. The prey species were scared. They wanted to limit humanity's ability to defend itself, to make sure Earth stayed weak and manageable. But it was too late for that. The galaxy had seen what humanity could do. They had seen a ship that fought like a Deathworld, that used biology as a weapon, that survived and adapted like Earth itself. That knowledge couldn't be taken back. Taiho stood at the observation window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, other species were watching. Other Deathworlders who understood survival. Other young species who saw hope in humanity's success. And other threats, like the Solvek, who would remember this defeat. The Revenant was supposed to be Earth's last resort, Taiho said to himself. A weapon we hoped never to use, but we used it to save lives, not take them. Maybe that's the message we should send to the galaxy. Yes, we're dangerous. Yes, we can create terrible weapons, but we'll use them to protect the living, not destroy them. Behind him, the ship pulsed with its steady heartbeat. The Revenant was damaged but healing, ready for whatever came next. Just like Earth itself had always been. Wounded but surviving, adapting, growing stronger. In the days that followed, more species reached out to humanity. The Vraxian Collective, who lived on a world of toxic storms, the Pyroth clans who evolved in volcanic heat, the Cryos Federation from worlds of endless ice, all Deathworlders, all survivors. They wanted to meet the species that had created the Revenant. They wanted to understand how humanity had weaponized biology itself, and they wanted to know if Earth would stand with them when the prey species tried to keep all Deathworlders down. War Matriarch Grendath's words proved prophetic. The prey species feared humanity now, but the predators respected them, and in a galaxy full of ancient civilizations and powerful empires, respect was the currency of survival. The Revenant left Krell space a week later, its mission complete. Behind it, 17 systems were healing. 12 billion Krell lived because a Deathworld species had answered their call. And across the galaxy, everyone understood a fundamental truth now. Humanity didn't bring aid the way other species did, with medicine and gentle care. They brought something far more powerful. They brought the lessons Earth had taught them across millions of years of survival. Fight poison with poison. Use predators against predators. Adapt or die. And when someone tries to destroy you, show them exactly why that's a mistake. The galaxy would remember the Revenant, and they would remember that humanity, for all their youth and small numbers, were the children of a death world. And death worlds raised survivors who knew how to fight.